Hi, I'm Megan Fleming. I am the Communications and Knowledge Translation Officer at CanPath, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our brand new trainee video series. We created this series to highlight the students and trainees and early career researchers who are truly bringing population health data and research to life using CanPath and regional cohort data. Now, oftentimes researchers think that population health data is something that you use much later in your research career because it is intimidating, it is complex, but that is far from the truth because we're finding that researchers are starting to use it much earlier in their research careers. They're using it in their theses and in collaborations and in certain coordinated research projects. So we really wanted to bring this together to tell the stories behind trainees who are using this data as part of their pathway and showcase how they're incorporating it. Are they using the data themselves? Are they supporting others using that data? We truly wanted to put this together to show that population health data is so approachable and you don't need to be a seasoned epidemiologist or biostatistician to use it. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Ashley Mah, a research coordinator and PhD student at the Dalla Lana School of Public Health. So I've worked with Ashley for a little bit, but in case you don't know who Ashley is, we're gonna have her tell you a little bit about her education, where she's at in her PhD right now, some research themes, so that you can get to know her before we dive into what it's like to be a student working with CanPath data. So I'll send it over to you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Mah. I'm a second year PhD candidate at the University of Toronto at the Dalla Lana School of Public Health. And my research is mainly based on breast cancer in women under 50 in Ontario and understanding their journey, including trends around how they're being diagnosed, as well as their treatment and some effects of their treatment long term. And my research journey in general has been a lot of cancer prevention and control through different methods, but I'm really excited to embark on this next chapter as part of my PhD.
Ashley, could you tell us a bit about your role and what you were doing day to day?
Yeah, so I was a research coordinator for the CanPath and PHAC collaboration project, which was looking at racial and ethnic disparities in breast cancer. And so, as part of my day-to-day role, a lot of the majority of my duties included ensuring that our project team was on track with meeting our goals, ensuring that we were coordinating data access for everybody. And because we had a project team that was spanning the country, so we had collaborators in BC as well as here, we had to make sure that everybody was keeping on track and meeting regularly to ensure that we were meeting our deadlines. And as well, I was also working on part of the analysis as well, which is really my favorite part as someone who works with data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How many different people were you kind of coordinating with throughout the project?
I would say that we have a team of about 10 people, which is what I would consider medium, but it can be difficult to coordinate so many different aspects of a project and include everybody and ensure that everyone's on the same track.
What is one thing that you learned from working with large cohort population health data and working with and supporting others with working with this data? Anything that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think it just really solidified the power of working with large data. And when we have this data already collected, it's such a privilege to be able to have something like this available to us so that we can ask the questions that we want and really look for the answers that we want. And I think one of the really cool parts about working with data is that we're able to tell people's stories. That's one of my favorite parts is kind of, when we're thinking about our research questions, we're really telling people's stories. So being able to use large cohort data that's available to us is really helpful in that process. And there's so much that you can discover that you didn't expect it when you're working with data.
Amazing. Yeah, every data point tells a story.
Exactly. Every data point, I think sometimes it can be hard to remember, but every data point is a person and that's their life and that's something they experience. So, I'm really privileged and we feel really privileged to have the opportunity to be able to tell some of these stories through our work and through research.
So In particular, what did CanPath bring to your project that was unique? Like, why did it matter that you used CanPath specifically for this research?
Yeah, so for our specific project, CanPath was really valuable because we were able to use it to validate some of our findings. So, for example, in the Canadian landscape, the collection of race based data is not something that we typically do as part of our bigger data collection in our health systems. And so we had to turn elsewhere for this project in order to look for that data. And CanPath had the information that we needed. And it was really easily accessible, and we were able to look at one problem through multiple different lenses using different data. And I think that's something that's really important,
Mhm.
and one of the unique aspects of CanPath as well.
Did you find that anything felt difficult or intimidating with the project or the research itself or working with CanPath data that might have evolved over time? Anything that felt difficult and intimidating at the beginning?
I think I would say that I was newer to CanPath data. I hadn't worked with the data across all the different provinces before, so that was very new to me, and it was a bit intimidating to try to sort out where the data came from and what we could do with it. But luckily, I had colleagues who were familiar with the data, and I felt very well supported, as well as CanPath's team was really instrumental in ensuring that the analysis could go through smoothly, as well as ensuring that we had everything that we needed in order to proceed with the project.
How did working on this project shape how you think about population health?
I think that as we talked about with CanPath, it's such a strong data set because it includes people from all over Canada. And that's not necessarily something we see a lot. Often things are quite siloed and we see, small group here, a small group there, but it's quite hard to include everybody. So I think being able to step back and have the opportunity to use data where we can get at this bigger picture and really think about how our results can kind of impact women across Canada was really something that was newer to me, and I found was really impactful.
So, for any other trainees, students, early career researchers watching this video, what is one message that you would share to them about your experience? Anything to help them relate to how you had this role with using CanPath data?
Yeah, I would say my message is I've been in your shoes before, and I think every person who works with data has been in your shoes before. We all have to start somewhere. My advice was to go through something that you're interested in and pursue that because that will really help to make sure that you're engaged throughout the project. And also to find a really good team to support you. And I think that's really important. It's okay if you don't know everything at the start and there's a lot of learning on the go, but if you find something you're interested in, I feel like that really brings you that extra mile in order to ensure that you're able to be engaged and learn throughout the project. So my other message if you're a trainee is, or anyone who's even interested in getting into research, you don't necessarily have to be trained formally, but if you're interested in this type of work, we welcome everybody, whether you want to be a patient partner, there's different ways to be involved. As long as you're interested and you want to be engaged, I think there's a spot for you, and you don't have to know everything. I think research can be very intimidating, but I do truly believe that research is for everybody. So, however you want to get involved, there's a spot for you. You can always reach out to the different teams that you're interested in. And yeah, that's kind of my final message.
That is such a perfect
Yeah.
reflection. It's like it really leans on we have this kind of saying at CanPath that's everyone counts. And it really ties into everything. Like even when we had our 15th anniversary, it was 15 years and counting. We're continue to count, everyone counts, the researchers, staff, students, participants, partners, everyone is part of what makes this big picture of research and big data happen. So that was a wonderful reflection.
Yeah, and we can't do research without the participants and, without the staff helping to run everything. So it really is a huge team effort, and every person does count.
Mm. Would you say that working in population health specifically was really formative for your education in public health? Like the differences
Yes.
between those two?
Yeah, I think that sometimes we can focus a lot on the individuals and the groups, but when we think again like about some of these health problems, it's really happening to everybody. So we need to understand these things at a higher level in order to bring it down to the individual level. And it's also possible for us to have different types of impacts when we're looking at groups of people, everybody who lives in a certain area or everybody who identifies as a woman. And really, it's a different type of thinking, but I find it very helpful for me to consider some of these health problems.
And then thinking about Ashley's future career coming out of your PhD, how are you thinking that population health is shaping the future of your career?
Essentially, what is next?
Yeah, I think that I really have strong ties to population health, and the way that I think about our world and health and what I want to do as an impact is really tied to population health and thinking about these bigger complex public health problems and trying to solve that using data and understand just the way the world and our health works a bit more. So I would love to be able to continue in population health and public health and really think about how we can take a preventative stance towards healthcare and not just a reactive stance, which I really think is going to be the future of how we manage health in this world and help people holistically be healthier.
How does being a research coordinator fit into your PhD?
Oh, I think this is actually a really important question. So, I think when you're a research coordinator, you learn a lot of skills that are important to becoming a researcher. So, sometimes when you work with data, you just focus on the numbers and you focus on the numbers that are in front of you. But I think that being a research coordinator helps you to understand the process of how that data is collected and how that data has gotten to you. And there is, as we mentioned, a whole process. There's so many people involved. Things like recruiting participants is really important. Each one of those little data points is a person, and there's a lot of effort that goes into getting that person to participate and their own efforts in filling in the surveys. So I think it really provided me with a lot of appreciation for the whole process of data and not taking data for granted, and people's time and understanding the effort that goes into this type of stuff. And I think also just understanding like the full process of research pipeline from, creating a research question to forming your analytic plan to submitting for ethics to dissemination. And it is a whole process and it's not necessarily just writing papers, but it's, ensuring that the findings get out to people through media and ensuring that the research that we're doing is really having the impact that we want it to. So seeing it through from beginning to end, I think it is really important and valuable for anybody who is doing research and especially data analysis.
Amazing.